Welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I am delighted to be talking with author, educator, I believe, as well, and Bram Stoker Award winner Robert P. Ottone. Robert, thank you for
Hello.
joining. Hi,
Thank you
thanks
for
for
having
joining.
me. Thank you
Of
so much. I
course.
appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I have to ask the teacher question. Does your work in the classroom and in education inform your writing practices?
Yeah, the kids' personalities help inform character in some ways. I have some kids who are very tough, and I have some kids who are very silly. I teach middle school, so
Ah, yes.
um, yeah, so they're all over the place, but in like the purest, sweetest, like most fun way. Um, I love when I have like the big tough kids and one of the big tough kids will say something silly and then they all just like fall over themselves laughing. And it's like such a childish thing that they're all laughing. Like stuff like that always just gets me. So it's like a lot of the times it's their personalities and their relationships and how they navigate their relationships with each other as well as their teachers that helps to inform characters specifically in my writing.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I was a eighth grade English teacher for 8 years, so I know that age group really well. And they are that boundary between like young person trying to be older person. Yeah, absolutely.
It's such an awesome age. Like I have mostly eighth grade classes this year, and I had some of the kids as seventh graders last year, so it's like fun to see them, getting older and maturing, but also like you're still the kid that said, something weird about grapes the year before. Like just like those little things that just crack me up and it's just enjoyable to see them. Like I got to see a couple of my kids today from last year that I haven't seen very much this year. And I was just so struck at like you guys are getting older. Like I could see it like 1 year later, and it's just like mind-boggling to me. It's like you guys are getting too big. Like I guess that's like how parents might feel. I don't have children of my own, but like, I imagine parents who see their kids getting older, it's like, wow, like how? Like just
Hmm.
literally like it felt like so recent that you were just like this silly little kid and now you're almost as tall as me. It's just weird.
Oh, yes, yes. Let's take it back a few years for you. What was the creative spark? What got you into the world of writing?
Yeah. I wrote a lot when I was younger, when I was a kid, and I remember reading Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis when I was in eighth grade, going into ninth grade, and it really struck me heavily. And it's obviously not a book that an eighth grade boy should have been reading at that time. Um, but I was always kind of punching above my weight when it came to entertainment, and content that I was consuming. So yeah, I guess maybe in some ways it's not a shock, but in a lot of ways it's like I would not want my child reading that, but my parents didn't put restrictions on it. So I started writing prose around eighth grade into ninth grade that summer. I started experimenting, and everything I was doing was like Ellis knockoff writing, and it was like
Hmm.
I was trying to be. I wasn't writing American Psycho. I read American Psycho after Less Than Zero, but I was trying to do like the disaffected voices I was reading in Less Than Zero because I was kind of feeling that. But before that, as a child, um, in like first grade, second grade, I was drawing my own little comic books and stuff, and I was always a comic book kid. So I kind of mutated from comic book kid to disaffected Bret Easton Ellis kid in basically all through high school. And then once I got to college, I was experimenting with a lot of nonfiction stuff. And I was loving writing nonfiction. I'm actually working on a nonfiction piece now and loving it so much. But it's that creative spark has always kind of been there. I worked in social media and marketing for a long time, and a lot of my creativity was channeled into that. So there were a lot of years where I wasn't writing anything. And then in 2019, my dad passed away, and I was seeing a therapist, and I started writing again as a way to sort of help deal with these emotions that I was feeling, and my first collection, People, came out of that. And I'm like weirdly, I'm still proud of that first collection of short stories. If I like looking back at it now, I'm like, whoa, like there's so many things I do differently, but it was a good exercise and it helped, and it just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you've written the Rise trilogy, you've written Nocturnal Creatures, Curse of the Cob Man. You write for adults and young adults alike. So I'm curious how you move back and forth in that process of writing for the younger reader versus the older reader.
It starts with the idea, like the kernel of the idea, like is this a concept that would work really well for a younger audience, or is it strictly for adults? And then I build it out from there. There's not too much of a difference between young adult and writing for adults. There is a difference between middle grade and young adult.
Mhm.
Middle grade, which is an age that I really love writing for. I love writing for all ages, but like if I only ever got to write middle grade stuff for like the rest of my life, I'd be okay with that because it's just fun to write that stuff, and it's actually kind of fun to put the guardrails up. So like, you don't want to have drug use, you don't want to have sex, you don't want to have cursing or an overt amount of cursing, and you usually want to have some kind of a hopeful ending in there. And so Nocturnal Creatures and There's Something Sinister in Center Field are both written for that audience, and there's like an element of hope to both. Nocturnal Creatures has a darker ending, but it does have some hope to it if you read closely. Whereas There's Something Sinister in Center Field in my other book, The Sleepy Hollow Gang, which is there's still copies of it available, but it's technically out of print. Um, those have hope at the end of them, and YA you can get as down and dirty as you need to. I have a YA idea that is probably the darkest thing I've ever come up with, and I'm excited to eventually get to that once my nonfiction era is over.
Yeah, yeah. There's that definite edge, right? Yeah, young adults love to read at the boundary of experience and think about adulthood. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what that idea becomes.
Oof. It is it is I think about that's the idea that I think about a lot. There's three fiction ideas that I keep coming back to, and that's the one that is like nudging me the most, I think. I just
Mhm.
am feeling the pull towards it more. The setting is interesting to me. The overarching narrative is interesting to me. I've already made a soundtrack for it, which is something I do for everything I write. That's
Nice.
awesome. That soundtrack is so good. And I've got kind of a killer twist ending for it. So that's another big part. But everything is time. Everything takes time. And that's like the one thing I find myself lacking these days is time.
Yeah. Well, the teaching deal that takes a good bit of time. So yeah, I love the fact that you have a soundtrack approach. And any other parts of your writing process that have uh, grown along with you as you've been writing?
Yeah, I the visual elements in my mind, I get a lot of nice feedback from people saying that a lot of the stuff I write is very cinematic or has like a very cinematic quality, which is I think that's very nice to hear. But um, I have more concrete visuals in my head as I'm working these days. It feels like I have a book coming out next year that as I was about halfway through it, I could see everybody with crystal clarity in my head in terms of like, what does this person look like? What is this person's physical embodiment and stuff like that? And that sort of started around when I was working on my book, The Vile Thing We Created. That was like,
Mhm.
that was really where the stronger visuals in my mind at least started to come together. And but it's gone, it's persisted through everything that I've written, which I'm very happy about. Like, or since then, that I keep coming back to these visuals in my head that are very strong. Um, and not only strong in terms of like I'm going to describe a scene, but like just to help me process like what did these characters look like and what is the physical space that they inhabit. It helps me plot and do action and whatnot.
Nice, nice. You mentioned that you're working on something in the nonfiction world right now, so I'm curious how that process is, and is there a research portion of that, or more of a me search, or what would you like to
Hmm.
say about that path?
I like that term, me search. There is a
Totally
lot.
stole that from somebody at one
Oh,
point.
did
Yep.
you?
Yes.
Well, it's excellent. There is a memoir quality to this that I didn't expect there to be as strong a memoir quality to it, but the people who have been working with me and developing it have been pushing towards that, which I like. But this is without a doubt the darkest thing I've ever written. And it's the only thing that I've written that's actually scared me. And it's just it goes to a place that I'm I don't know that I'm 100% ready for it to go to, and I don't know that people who know me and know the experience of what I went through with this or what the experience is. I don't want to name the specifics, but um, I don't know if those people are going to be ready to read this thing. And I'll tell you, like, the research and the interviews that I've done for this book um, make all of the horror writing and reading the buzzing of flies. Like it's very difficult for me to look at writing horror fiction after doing the research and talking to the people that I've been talking to about this very real experience that I went through and other people have gone through. And it's I don't know. I don't know how I'm gonna go back to writing spooky fiction. I hope I do. I want to, but I'm really enjoying the nonfiction as hard as it is to write and as difficult and as like, you know, there's a lot of images that I've had to look at and there's images that are now burned into my head that I haven't been able to shake because of working on this nonfiction thing. So, I don't
Wow.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like the writing of it feels in a lot of ways like an exorcism, but it also feels dirty in writing about it because there's the darkness that's in this nonfiction thing that I'm working on is just it's kind of a thing that everybody can understand, but it's not something that everybody has experience with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned writing as kind of this way of going through a therapy and experience and process. So hopefully that's also a vibrant part of this and is part of the journey that you're on.
Thank you. Yeah, it's there's a lot of catharsis in working on this nonfiction thing, and there's a lot of looking at myself um in a more critical way than I anticipated going into it because some of it, a lot of it is stuff that happened in my past, and a lot of it is stuff that happened over a decade ago. And so looking at myself back then, I look at my life in a lot of different ways. Like I look at my incredibly awkward youth. I look at like my weird college, like late high school, early college years. I look at my early professional life. And then I look at everything in the context of like after I lost my dad. And then after losing my dad is like the version of myself I was supposed to become. And the version that I am now is the version I was always supposed to be. And I look back at all those previous versions like they're a foreign entity and that they're like, I cannot relate to any of those Robs. Like I look at them with such harsh criticism and I look at them with such harsh like a feeling. I feel very negatively about the person I was before my dad passed away. And it's like strange to look at that. And it's strange to be writing this thing now where that's all I'm looking at is like the old version of myself. And it's like it feels very bizarre. It feels very bizarre. It's like it's sort of corny to say, but it's like looking in a mirror, but you're not seeing yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. If you were to travel back in time and share something with that younger person, particularly related to thinking about writing here, anything that you would want to say to them about the writer that you've become and the person that you've become?
Yeah, even though even though you may think that it's not worth it and that you're wasting your time, even just writing a few extra paragraphs a day is going to make you stronger in the future. I wish I wish I had kept writing all those years I was working in social media and stuff like that, because I would have gotten closer to where I am now sooner, I guess. But I didn't have anything in me. I didn't have like the well really filled. It's weird. I had a lot of experience. I used to live by this motto of like, do it for the story. No matter what it is, you
Mhm.
do it for the story because like even if it's a bad experience, you'll get a story out of it. If it's great, then it's great. And like all the things that I did, quote unquote, for the story, to me now, looking back at them, mean nothing. And I
Yeah.
think if there was a way I could have translated that earlier, that like, yes, do it for the story, but make sure you get a story out of it that's worth keeping, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, curious to see what this nonfiction project becomes, and curious to chat with you in the future about projects that are on the way. Anything that you'd like to say about where people can find you, where they can go and find more information about your work, and anything about where you expect to head next in your writing?
Yeah. My new young adult novel, The Navigator, is out now from Undertaker Books. I hope people check that out. The
Hmm.
first book I won the Bram Stoker Award for, The Triangle. So this is wrapping up that narrative. So I'm very honored that it is out now. Um, in the early spring, I will have a book out with Alyssa Alessi and Monique Asher called Triptych of Terror 1998. That'll be from So Below Books. I'm very excited about that one too. It's like a totally wild departure. It's probably got the weirdest monster I've ever created in it, and I've created an 8 foot tall corn cob creature. So I don't know how that's possible, but and then I have something special coming out October of 2026. That's all I could say now. It hasn't been formally announced, so I don't want to spill the tea yet. But everybody keep your October of 2026 open for me, I beg you, because I've got something coming that I think you all might really, really, really like. I'm really only I have fun on Facebook. You can friend me on there. It's a picture of me and my wife is my Facebook photo. But Instagram, I have the most fun, Robert Ottone, and I would really love it if more people would follow me on Letterboxd. I'm on Letterboxd a lot. I mark everything, I review everything that I watch, and again, it's Robert Ottone on there. I'm a huge movie guy. I just love
Yeah,
film so much. But yeah, so follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. I do follow back.
cool, cool. What are you currently viewing? What's the current watch?
I'm very obsessed with this movie, and I have the filmmaker coming on my Instagram show Talkin' Talkies in like a week or two. There's a wonderful movie on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, it's free to watch. It's called Haunt Season. And for me, this is the movie for the Halloween season. It's been a very, very long time since I've watched a slasher movie where I legitimately cared about every character top to bottom. Um,
Mhm.
this feels like a Hang movie, and it's got these remarkable young women who are all very different, who all feel very real. Um, it is wonderful. Haunt season. Watch it. It's phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. And I think, if you're a slasher fan, you will enjoy it. But if you're a person who enjoys hang pictures like the Big Chill or Diner or something like that, you will enjoy this as well. It's really a wonderful, breathtaking movie. And I've watched it 3 times or 4 times since the beginning of the month. So.
Well, cool. I will put it on the list. Um, have we missed anything that you want to make sure to include in the talk before we close out?
I would just love it if everybody would, if you pick up my new book, that would be great. But I have to recommend my dear friend John Collins's book, The Leeds Point Horror. This is his debut novella from Alien Buddha. It's $10 and it is the perfect Halloween read. Um, Pick it up. I will be very shocked if he's not at least in the conversation for a Stoker Award this year. This is a monumental achievement, and it is my favorite book of the year without a doubt. And it's a novella. It's a quick read, and it's only $10. So, The Leeds Point Horror by John Collins. Pick it up.
Cool, cool. I always appreciate the recommendations as well, and certainly glad to have you back in the future as you're working on projects. Many thanks, Robert. It's been a wonderful chance to talk with you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and it's been an honor. I love this. This was fabulous. Thank you.